Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Hopefully this should be working. So let me know in the comments, guys, if this is working, and inshallah I'll just share this, stream it with others as well. Okay, so if you guys can hear or see, I don't know if it's working or not. Hopefully it should be working. Let me just share this with Facebook. Yeah, so like I said, write in the comments if the sound is coming through, guys. I don't know if the sound's coming through. Yeah, Allah. Yeah, Allah. No, is it not working? Is it working? Oh, no wonder. It's not on public yet. Okay, it should work now. Hopefully it should come on now. So all that time I had it on unlisted, and that's why I think it wasn't coming up. So now hopefully it should work. Alright, so let me know in the comments, guys, if the sound is working, if it's coming on. And we'll just be waiting for people to come online, inshallah. So what's new with you guys? Anything new? MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Walaikum Assalam, Brother Mubin. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. I'm very happy to see that you are actually you're doing the course the fastest so far. So mashallah, the rate you're going at, Alhamdulillah. May Allah give you ability to be able to complete the course and continue your Arabic studies afterwards as well, inshallah. Sayyida Hussein, Walaikum Assalam. When would you be able to kindly give a day when Fawzul Kabir will be aired live? You mean part 4? So far 3 parts have been done. So it's not aired live. It's basically it's pre-recorded. So I don't air it live. I have it pre-recorded, then I upload it, and then it's played like that. Yeah, so that's basically how it works. Okay, just wait for some more people, and then I think we'll start the live stream. You're welcome, MashaAllah. Okay, so I think we'll start answering questions now. All right. Okay, so there is a question. I want to practice the rules more and want more homework. So can I get it? Inshallah. Yeah, that's possible. Inshallah, possible. CSDF. Wa alaikum assalam. 2 days of live question answers. You're spoiling us. Alhamdulillah. Bint Imran. Wa alaikum assalam. Please, can you clarify when 1 or 2 talaq ba'in are issued? Okay, so first of all, let me answer questions on. Actually, whilst I'm waiting for people to come on, let's answer some of these questions then. So, can you clarify when 1 or 2 talaqs or ba'in are issued? So, talaq ba'in. So, talaq is basically when a person wants to finish their nikah, right? So, end the nikah, basically. That's what talaq is. And the way talaq is done is either you say a word which contains the word talaq, right? So talaqa, a man says to his wife, I talaq you, or I divorce you in English. Then, or he uses a word which is a kinaya, right? Which is a implicit word. So implicit word would be something like this. Instead of saying the word talaq or divorce, he says something like, it's over, our marriage is over, we are separated, anything like that. So any word which is not explicitly mentioned for, any word that's not explicitly mentioned for talaq, like ta, lam, qaf, and it's something like divorce, something like kinaya, something which is implicit. So if a husband uses the word, the first type, and says to his wife, you are divorced or you are talaq, then what we call this a talaq raj'i, a retractable talaq. Right, so a retractable talaq basically means that he can take her back. In other words, he can take her back straight away if he wants. So he has 3 months to take her back. And if, however, he uses an implicit word, like if he says to her, it's over, we're separated, we're no longer married anymore, so then this would be implicit. And implicit means the marriage is over, and the only way they can come back is if they redo the aqd again. So they have to do the contract again, which is ijab and qabul, offer and acceptance of marriage, and he has to stipulate a new mahar, a new dowry. So that's basically ba'in. Okay, if a person shops and gets money from the bank by shopping at the shop through an app, would this be permissible? So how does it exactly work? So I'll have to look at exactly the terms and conditions of how it works. So I mean, I haven't really come across such a scenario. So if you would give me the exact case of how it exactly works. So when you go to the shop and you buy something, how does the bank reimburse you, or what do they do? Okay, Anwar Patel, wa alaikum assalam. How do I get rid of diseases of the heart like jealousy, animosity and pride? So these are disease of the heart, require a cure for the heart, and the cure for the heart is not something which you're going to find in like medicines or in diet and things like that. The cure of the heart you're going to find in staying in the company of good people. So staying in the company of good people, pious people, sitting with them, speaking to them, that's the kind of thing which is required. Yeah, so yeah, that I would say that's the best cure for the disease of the heart. Yeah, which is staying in the company of good people. Okay, CSDF, is help to buy scheme permissible? You deposit money over a period and then get bonus at the end period. So help to buy scheme, is this the government scheme that you're talking about, where you basically want to buy a house, so every month the government will top up your bank account with a certain amount of money to help you in putting you forward towards a house? If that's the case, then there's permissibility for that, yeah, because then that's considered to be a gift. So it's a gift on behalf of the government to help you, but I'll have to look at the exact terms and conditions to see how it works exactly. Where is your catty? Catty is making loads of noise, and we locked her up, so she doesn't cause too much hassle. And you know what happened last time when she came in here and she just jumps around, and then I can't answer your questions, so this is her punishment. She's in detention. Okay, Muhammad said, do you know Hamza Zotis, and if yes, is he a good scholar? So yeah, I've met Hamza Zotis, mashallah, is a very nice person. He is a debater. He is not exactly a scholar in the sense that he's done hadith course or fiqh course or things like that, but he's a scholar in the sense of aqidah, yeah, in philosophy, in that kind of sense. So when it comes, I would say his expertise, his skill is in debating and defending Islamic beliefs. Yeah, so he's very strong at that and gives a lot of da'wah as well. So yeah, he's a very good guy, mashallah. Okay, Bint Imran, wa alaykum jazakum, you're welcome. Anwar Patel, when I'm praying Salah, if I get confused about which rakat I'm on, then what should I do? So then what you basically do, does it happen regularly? Like, does it happen quite often in the week? Or is it just a one-off? Okay, Asim Javed, wa alaykum assalam. What's your view on mortgage through Al Rayyan Bank? So I know someone who's actually very close to Rayyan Bank, who's a consultant for Rayyan Bank. I've spoken to him about this, and he said to me that the Rayyan Bank's mortgage system is totally fine. So he's a very well reputable scholar, and I've spoken to him and he said it's fine. So I trust him on that. So alhamdulillah. Okay, Bint Imran, how to tackle the fitna of modern day Salafis and how to give da'wah to is that Salafis or Sufis? Someone who's influenced by them. Is resuscitation allowed? Is DNAR permissible? Okay, alright, so I think before I answer these questions, I'm going to answer the questions on the Curious Cat. Right, so let's first of all answer those, then we'll come back to this inshallah. Alright, so let's start off from Allahu Akbar. Okay, I think it was from here. Where did you study? So I studied in Pakistan, in Karachi, in a place called Jamia Ulum Al-Islamiyya, Banuri Town. It's a well-known institute in Pakistan, in Karachi. I don't know if any of you guys are from Karachi or you've been to Karachi. So it's basically a very prestigious, it's not very old, I mean, compared to other places, but it's maybe about 40-50 years old. So it's very well known. Maybe actually more than 40 years, maybe about 60 years old, maybe 60-70 years old. So I studied there. I studied 9 years over there in Karachi. A maintenance loan is when, so this is a question that was asked regarding maintenance loans. Can a student take maintenance loan? So it depends exactly how the maintenance loan is acquired. So if it's acquired through an interest base, then technically it's not allowed. So any sort of interest based dealing for a Muslim is not allowed. However, the only time it becomes permissible is if there is no other alternative, and this is something which the person requires. So like a university course, they're required to do this. So there is permissibility for taking the loan if there is no other way of them earning that money. Okay, which one movie or TV or novel character do you identify with? So movie, TV, novel. So okay, who do I identify with? I think maybe, I'm not sure, maybe someone like Sherlock Holmes. I like him a lot. Terminator. I'm from the future, that's why. I don't know. Maybe Sherlock Holmes. What do you guys think? Who do you guys think I I identify with. I'm thinking who else can there be? Yeah, I like detective kind of work. Detective. What do you think has been a turning point in your life? So as in turning point in what sense? Turning point as in lots of turning points. So are you talking about turning point as in turning religious, or turning point as in work, or turning point I don't exactly know. So if you let me know what kind of turning point in my life when religious was when I was in college, in last year of college. That's when I kind of started to take studying or learning about the deen very seriously. Okay. Can you talk about the evil eye in your next question and answer, please? I find it a confusing topic and to comprehend. Like, how does it work? Is it based on a person's intention? Like, if they mean bad for a person, will this be enough to affect them? How do we protect ourselves and our children? Is it mentioned in the Quran hadith? Okay, so this is a good question. So this is to do with the evil eye, or we call nazar. Yeah. Al-ayn in Arabic is called ayn. So this is something which basically is to do with there's verses of the Quran. For example, like Allah says, وَإِن يَكَادُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَيُزْلِقُونَكَ بِأَبْصَارِهِمْ لَمَّا سَمِعُوا الذِّكْرَ. That the kuffar, they wanted you to make you slip, hurt, harm yourself, something bad to happen to you just by them looking at you. So this can be taken literally, as in they wanted just by looking at you something to happen to you because they were so jealous and angry of the revelation that was coming to you. And this can be metaphorically as well, that they were wishing that something bad would happen. So you've got some indication there. Number two is in the hadith, and the hadith are many that indicate or even explicitly mention the mentioning of the ayn. So there is this concept which is the ayn, where there was a sahabi one day, and this sahabi was taking a bath. Another sahabi saw the top of his body and was impressed by it. And as soon as he saw him, the sahabi that was taking a bath, he fell and he was unconscious. So he went to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ, he looked at him and then he said, he's been affected with ayn. So he said, take water from your... So the guy who looked at him, he told him, take water from the limbs, meaning wash your limbs, take the water and sprinkle it on him. So he did so, and he got better. So that from there we understand there is this concept of, just like you can harm someone physically, you can also harm them, you can say, through another means, by looking at them in a certain way. Now, how does this work? We don't know exactly how this works, just like we don't know how jinns work, but we know jinns exist, and they're a creature that we can't see, but they exist all around us. So it's possible that there is a realm out there of things that is invisible to us, that can't be detected by our means of technology. And there's many sort of like scientific studies that have been done on certain sort of phenomena. So for instance, like the phenomena of people looking at people behind at their back. They look at them, and then someone feels as though someone's looking at them. So there's lots of studies done on this, and there's a guy called Rupert Sheldrake who's actually does a lot of in this. You can Google him as well. That he believes that there is this other thing that scientists can't detect. So it's plausible. It's not something which is contradictory to Islam. So therefore we believe it exists, and the hadith out there for it. The way to protect yourself from it, first of all, is to read the adhkar, morning and evening adhkar. Allah protects you. And if you do get afflicted by it, then the best way is to get the water from the limbs of the person who's done it, and you sprinkle it on the person affected by it. That's how it's done. And otherwise, it's just reading ayats of the Quran and things like that that will treat a person. Okay, so next. Okay, where is it gone? Okay, is it permissible to listen to classical and calm music when one doesn't involve promoting haram, as it is great helps? Yeah, so I mentioned this yesterday as well. I mentioned this, that there is a difference of opinion amongst scholars regarding listening to certain types of music for a certain purpose, like for medical reasons, right? Or something of that sort. Just like you have musical tones on your phone, which is a ring, basically, it's a musical tone, or you have it on your doorbell, it's a musical tone, things like that. So if it has a certain purpose behind it, some of the scholars, like Sheikh Abdul Ghani Nablusi, who's a Hanafi scholar, he has actually given permissibility of this, although many other scholars have said all forms of music are impermissible. There are some scholars who have given permission. Now, if someone says today, well, what about the mobile phone then? So that's a problem, isn't it? Alarm clock, it's a musical tone. You're waking up in the morning for Fajr with a musical tone, and you're answering the door with a musical tone, and you're calling someone with a musical tone. So these are things which scholars have discussed. So there is scope for that kind of classical music, as long as it is done for that particular purpose of trying to gain focus in studies or calming the stress levels down. As for popular music, common music that's played today, then this is totally something that a person should avoid. What's the best way to help a suicidal friend who's far from the deen? It's not easy to just tell them pray and trust Allah. That is not relatable at this time for them. Apart from making dua, what is the best way? The best way to do is, to get in contact with someone who has experience in this. So I would say contact, there's many organizations out there that help people who are suffering and who are going through suicidal sort of like thoughts. Contact them, speak to them, and maybe even do a training course on it. I personally don't know how to deal with suicidal people, nor is it something that's taught to ulama, or nor is it taught to someone who studies in a dars in Nizami or anything like that. These are things that people, I think, especially when they try to use some sort of like an Islamic solution, like read ayat to them or take them on tablighi jamaat or things like that, that doesn't always help, right? It's a human sort of condition that person has, so it has to be treated in that similar way. So yeah, I would say find out, Google, get in contact with people who are experienced in this field of dealing with people who are suicidal, and speak to them. Okay, what does the money go towards from your Patreon page? I thought you already bought a camera. Okay, so this is a good question. Someone's asking a question. Where does the money go for your Patreon page? I thought you already bought a camera. So most of you guys know that for the YouTube channel, I also have a Patreon page. Patreon page is basically it's like a third party, and what it does is it gets people. So I use it, and people will donate towards my channel, but the donations go to the Patreon. So it's like you can say like a kitty where the money goes, donations, and then this money is withdrawn from the Patreon, and then I use it for the things I have to use it for. So in the Patreon video that I made, and even on the Patreon page that I've made, I've explained it over there that running a YouTube channel you can't really do for free, because it requires, first of all, time. I have to take out time to make these videos, so I will obviously be taking money from the Patreon for the time I put in. So the same time I would put in for, let's say, doing other jobs. If I was to do other jobs, I wouldn't be able to make videos for Patreon, for my YouTube channel. So I take money from there, percentage from there, and then the rest of the money is used to buy equipment. So most of the equipment I've bought so far, but there's still a lot left. I didn't realize that it's going to come to so much. It came up to more than what I expected. So I bought a camera. I still have to buy a laptop for editing as well. So I need that for the footage, because I've got a computer iMac, mashallah, someone gave to me. But it's the amount of editing that needs to be done it still requires more. So I need that, plus I need another one, because sometimes you have to edit multiple videos at the same time. So you have that, and then you have the biggest is paying editors. So at the moment I've got one editor, and what I do is some of the videos that I make I can't do all myself, so it just takes too long. Like sometimes editing one video can take easily 6-7 hours just to edit the video. So what happens is I give the video to an editor, and the editor edits the videos, and then sends me the final version, and then I put the final version up. So the Sahaba series that I was doing, the Quran series, and even the quotes, the Arabic quotes, those are the ones which the editor is dealing with, and he edits those. So that obviously I've got to pay him. So for every video, depending on how long the video is, I have to pay him for that. Plus on top of that, I mean, if you check out the rates for editors nowadays, it's like to edit a 3-minute video, they charge like $250 to edit a 3-minute video. So the editor I've got, I mean, he's very reasonable, alhamdulillah. And plus the editor I need is someone who knows Arabic as well, right? Who knows Arabic and also English as well. So it's very difficult to find editors that are able to do that. So this is why a lot of the money goes towards that. So you know, so I think it's a good question. Yeah, people ought to know you know where the Patreon money is going. Okay, and there is so much still left. I mean, my aim is to have a whole team of editors and to have a team of people that can make videos as well. So just like I'm making videos, if I could have, let's say, I mean, the rate I'm going at, I'll probably die before I can make all the videos that I want to make. So I want to make videos on Nahu, for instance, like Arabic grammar. So I want to go through the entire Arabic grammar syllabus so that anyone who just comes on my YouTube channel can learn basic Arabic, can learn beginner's Arabic, intermediate Arabic, advanced Arabic, specialize in Arabic, can have all the videos there free of charge. And I want the same for, let's say, for example, Sarf. I want the same for fiqh. They can go through, you know, basic fiqh, beginner's fiqh, intermediate, advanced, specialization fiqh. And not just the Hanafi madhab. If I could have Hanafi madhab and the Maliki madhab and the Shafi'i madhab and Hanbali madhab, all for English speaking audience. And maybe even another project I can possibly work on is getting these in different languages as well. So in Urdu as well. Yeah, if I can have it in Urdu, if I can have it in maybe Indonesian, maybe Spanish. So there's so many languages out there that people know, but unfortunately they don't have good content out there. And then it's like, you know, so there's so many kind of things that need to be done on that. So you can imagine how much you'd need. And an average YouTube channel, if you actually go to some of these YouTube channels that put content up and they use Patreon, they kind of like in a month they get like about $10,000, $15,000 in Patreon donations. But you know where all that money is going, because a lot of that money has to go towards back into the channel, into editing, into content, and there's so many kind of other costs that come along the way as well. So this is why a lot of people don't know how hard it is to actually, you know, run a YouTube channel. They think it's very easy, that you just make a video and then you put it up and that's it. But you know, you gotta take your hats off to all those people out there who are consistently making YouTube videos, putting it online, even if it's something really kind of useless. They're still, I mean, doing it. It is a difficult thing. It's not an easy thing. Okay, so all right, next. Salam, Ustad. If a family member celebrates their birthday and invites us to a day out, but we don't feel comfortable, is it bad to say no to them? Especially if most of the family is there and I don't have valid reason. Would it be considered breaking ties, or should they respect my views? This wouldn't come under breaking ties. So breaking ties would be regarding something that's very important in the family, serious in the family. So this would be something which is just like a side thing. Family's going out to a restaurant, let's say, and you don't want to go to that restaurant. You know, you don't have to force yourself to go to the restaurant. But it's just, you know, your own personal choice. So no, it wouldn't be. I mean, they should actually respect your views. If you don't celebrate birthdays, for instance, if you're on the position that birthdays are not permissible, that's fine, and you know, they should respect that as well. Assalamu alaikum. If a woman is divorced and she wishes to remarry, does she need consent from her family, or do they need to be there at the nikah? Yes, she will need consent from the wali of the family, according to the majority of Hanafi opinion. According to Abu Hanifa, she won't need consent. Alhamdulillah, that wasn't too short, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so you guys are praising me for not cutting my hair too short. So alhamdulillah, it's the right size now, nice, it's more manageable. Okay. After finishing the 17 lessons course, how should we continue with the Ajurumiyya course? Okay, so if you're doing the 17 lessons course with me, after the 17 lessons course, I suggest, if you haven't studied Arabic grammar before, I suggest studying the Surah Yasin course. Do the Surah Yasin course, and then after the Surah Yasin course, I would suggest maybe even doing the Surah Mulk course, and then doing the Ajurumiyya after that. So once you've done your 17 lessons, and the Yasin's about 11-12 lessons, and then the Surah Mulk's about 8 or 9 lessons, you've done quite a lot of experience with Arabic, especially the Quran. And then when you go into Arabic grammar, Ajurumiyya, it kind of just fits all in. That's what I would suggest. Okay, Mufti, I don't know if anyone's ever said this to you before, but you the man. Oh yeah, I'm the man. May Allah give you the best in this dunya and the best in the akhirah. Jazakumullah khair, mashallah. Thank you very much. It's not good to praise people in their face, but sometimes some people need it, yeah. So it's good to sometimes give support, and we should support other people as well. Yeah, just like people are supporting my channel, alhamdulillah, and giving good feedback and any feedback. I think all those people in your community that are doing a good job, regularly people should give them some good feedback as well, because it's encouragement as well. Yeah, it's something which encourages people, it motivates them, it gives them some sort of like extra sort of boost, you can say. Although all of our actions should be sincerely for Allah, this is part of sincerity for Allah as well. So Jazakallah khair, thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, whoever you are. Okay, next question. How do you manage your time? You seem like very strict and get a lot done. Could you do a course on time management from Islamic perspective? There's people that I know who are actually stricter in time management than me. I would say I'm average. I'm not that strict. The thing I do, I think maybe, which is I like routines. I do. I always like routines, and I like sticking to my routine. And even if I'm going to sleep, I go to sleep at the same time. I try to wake up at the same time. I try to everything. I like routines, and I don't like when I get ill or something, or maybe I go on holiday or something, my routine gets messed up. I kind of like feel a bit unsettled, uncomfortable. So I think routine. Some people just are not into routines. Some people will maybe, if you're a person who gets up late, if you're a person that gets up after 9 o'clock in the morning, or you're a person who goes to sleep very, very late, then it's very rare that you're gonna have a good routine, right? So you need to have a good routine in your life. That's the first thing. Number 2 is you need to start your day with Quran. Start your day with Quran. Read some Quran. Listen to Quran, and then these are the things that Allah puts barakah in your time as well. Allah puts barakah in your time. Allah plans your day for you. Like things that you thought are going to be difficult in the day that would have taken 2 or 3 hours to do, Allah will help you and get it done in half an hour. That's the kind of barakah that we should ask Allah for. And so try those things, do those things, and you'll see that it's going to help you a lot. Otherwise, I don't think I do anything special. Consistency is the most important thing. The Prophet ﷺ said the most beloved actions to Allah are those which are consistent, even if they're small. So consistency, just do something, but do regularly. So for instance, like if I make a video, I will try to make the videos, so I don't make all the videos in one go. What I do is I kind of spread it out, so I can utilize my time properly, right? So I can think about the videos, I can think about my mutala'ah, I need to do some videos, I need to do a lot of reading for it. So I kind of like do it that way. So throughout the week, I'll know exactly on which days I need to make which videos, and then uploading them and all that. Okay, so yeah, and maybe I can make a video on how time management works, and I don't know. I'm not an expert in time management, but from my experience, I can let you guys know. If someone went through 17 lessons, Surah Yasin, Ajurumiyya course, would that be enough to cover basic and intermediate level understanding of Arabic? Pretty much, yeah. See, it depends what you want with intermediate. But personally, I think that when a person he does the Arabic course, what do they want out of it? They want out of it to be able to read Arabic, especially the Quran, and understand it, right? So for that, I would say this would be sufficient. The thing that you need a lot is practice. That's what you need. So whatever you study, I always say to students, whatever you study, right, consider that to be 30%, and you need 70% practice. So 30%, let's say, or 20%, and then 70 or 80% practice you need. So if you've put in, let's say, 1 hour, you need, let's say, 3 hours of practice. 3 hours of practice. After you've done this Ajurumiyya and all that, what you need is, you need to like literally sit with someone, and you need to go through Arabic, read to them like a child reads to the teacher, and the teacher corrects them and says, look, you're supposed to say like this, it was supposed to be like this, the translation here, you're making a mistake. That's how you need to do it. If that's not possible, what you need to do is get work from the teacher and then translate it and then send it to the teacher. That's what I would say. So that's the kind of thing students need to understand, that when you're studying, like for example, a lot of Dars Nizami systems can be shortened down to a very short period. So for example, the whole 8 years or 7 years, 6 years, you can reduce it. It can be condensed. But the thing is, you need to, for every course, you need to give the students like an overview of everything that they're going to be covering and what they need to focus on. If students know what they're covering and they know what they need to focus on, students can learn the science very, very quickly. But if you're going to teach them, let's say, Nahu, or you're going to teach them Fiqh, or you're going to teach them Sarf, and you're not giving them an overview, and you're not telling them what they need to focus on, what's going to happen is they're just learning it day by day. So it's like every day is something, it's a new adventure. It's like they're going through a jungle and they don't know what's going to pop out the jungle. It's just like some new kind of like lessons popping up. And this can be very difficult for some people, because the question comes in their mind, when is it going to finish? When is it going to finish? When is it going to finish? And they get burnt out, and then they lose interest. But if they know the jungle is this long, and they know that this is going to come in the jungle and this is what I need to focus on, then they can get through it. So the other thing that I'm actually starting to work on is the Medina books. I'm thinking about doing a whole series on the Medina books, and I know a lot of people have done them, but I was just talking to the editor the other day, and he was giving me ideas of how it can be done. So at the moment we're just looking through which idea is going to be the best idea, and then we have a format, and then I can deliver the lessons, and then we can start editing it. Okay, I think it's time, Mufti, you opened your online school for the students. Your talent and skills are much needed. You have a fresh modern skill set in teaching, which I haven't seen. Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah, may Allah keep you happy and blessed. So yeah, this is one of the things that I'm thinking about. That, I mean, in the future, there needs to be some sort of like, maybe if I had like-minded people that I could work with, and we could set up something globally, maybe online or maybe even on site, where we could have some sort of a course where a student can learn about the deen, learn Arabic. Maybe if they're interested only in Quran, they can focus on Quran. If they're interested in hadith, they can focus on hadith. And if they're interested in fiqh, and that would be excellent. So if we could have something like that, and it could be taught in a way that it's visually stimulating, and also the content is also relevant to people, why not? Okay, when a male is reading Salah alone, does he have to recite aloud in Fajr? No. So when anyone's reading alone, you don't have to recite aloud. The reciting aloud in Fajr, Maghrib and Isha in the first 2 rakats is only for the Imam. If the Imam is leading, it's only for them. Okay, what about for Sunnah, Nafal, etc. prayers? Can he choose to recite loudly or silently when praying alone? Yes, it's fine. Can a man praying alone recite aloud in last 2 rakats of Zuhr, last 2 rakats of Asr, last 2 rakats? Yes, it's fine, but it's best to read quietly. In Sunnah Nafal prayers, does the Fatiha and some recitation need to be done in all rakats or just in the first 2? So Sunnah and Nafal in all rakats. The chronology of the recitation have to be for all rakats or 2 rakats at a time. The chronology. I don't understand what you mean by chronology. Okay, so basically, according to Hanafis, Nafal and Sunnah salats are in 2s, meaning that each 2 set is considered to be a salat on its own. So therefore, the Hanafis say, فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. The Quran says, read whatever is easy of the Quran. that means in every salat. So every 2 rakats you must read in there. So that's why in Nafal and Sunnah you have to read in every single rakat Fatiha and Surah. But when it comes to Fard, because the entire Fard, whether it's 2 rakat Fard or 3 rakat Fard or 4 rakat Fard, the entire Fard is one salat. So technically you only have to recite in the first 2, that's it, because the first 2 is considered to be like 1 unit. And then after that you don't have to recite and standing. This is according to Hanafis. Okay, is belief in Al-Khidr an Aqidah issue? Is it okay for someone to believe he doesn't exist based on the fact that nobody is immortal and the hadith that mentions nobody on this earth will be alive? Yes, it's fine. In fact, to believe that in the Quran there was a man and this man was met Musa alayhi salam, that's what we need to believe. But to believe that he's alive, no, that's not necessary. In fact, many of the scholars, Ibn Hajar rahimahullah and many others, have said that he's no longer existing. He doesn't exist anymore. And some scholars say he does exist. I mean, one of my teachers, Sheikh Abdul Razak, who taught us Bukhari, he believed that he did exist and that he actually saw him, he met him. Allah knows best if it was him. But no, we don't. It's not an Aqidah point. You don't have to believe it. Okay, how do you respond to the guys who say Al-Kufr bit-Taghut wal-Imanu billah now that elections come up? I mean, see again, this whole idea of people who are going to attack anyone who is electing and all that, these people generally are not educated people, meaning they're not educated in the Islamic sciences. They haven't studied fiqh properly, they haven't studied hadith properly, they haven't studied tafsir properly. Through my experience I've noted this. They haven't done this. And so what they tend to do is they'll take like a statement from the Quran, like a blank statement, and they'll take a statement, and they'll take a statement from hadith or whatever, and what they do is they kind of superimpose this one statement on everything, right? Every single thing that, يتحاكمون إلى الطاغوت, they kind of take their verdicts and rulings to the Taghut. وَقَدْ أُمِرُوا أَن يَكْفُرُوا بِهِ, whilst they've been commanded to disbelieve in it. So, and they use this for anyone who is voting outside of Islamic government, which isn't necessarily the case. Yeah. So the way they're making it out is the ayah is basically talking about someone who has a choice of Allah's law and a law which is totally contrasting to Allah's law, and they deliberately choose the other law, right? Which is what the mushrikeen were doing. Okay. There are 2 Isha beginning to, and the other thing is I wouldn't argue with these people. No point arguing them, because they've already in their minds fixated this idea of Taghut, and that Taghut represents any sort of individual or institute that promotes non-Islamic, whatever that means, non-Islamic laws or policies, and they say that's a Taghut, and if you support them, you support Taghut, and then that's it. The whole world is basically Taghut followers. There are 2 Isha beginning times in Leicester, 25 minutes apart. Today it is 5:32 and 5:57. If I'm late for Maghrib, work traffic, can I use the later time to pray on those occasions? There is an early Isha on 6 on weekends, so is it okay if I pray the same time as well? I mean, if there are opinions that are valid, I don't know exactly what the Leicester times are, but if they're valid, if they're adopted by a respectable mosque or individuals, then yes, you can act upon them. It's fine. Does a woman have full choice as to whether or not her personal gold items are subject to zakat or not? So she doesn't have choice. Like, no one has choice of whether their assets are subject to zakat or not. That's a divine law from Allah. So if Allah has issued a law, and we have to follow it. So if we don't practice it, then we're sinful, and if we practice it, then we're obedient. So I don't exactly know what you're saying here. Are you saying that if a person doesn't want to give zakat, is it okay? Well, no, it's not okay. But if a woman has gold items, according to Hanafis, she has to give zakat on it if the year goes by and there's enough gold which is beyond the threshold, the nisab. Yeah, so according to Hanafi, she'll have to give it. According to the Malikis, according to Shafi'is, she doesn't have to give it. There's no zakat on personal gold that is used by a woman throughout the year. If a woman is told that personal gold items need to be included into assets subject to zakat and their value is more than the nisab value, but has no cash or other zakatable assets, does she have to sell the gold to get the cash value so that she can pay zakat? She can do that, or what she can do is she can delay the payment of her zakat until she gets cash, and then she pays off the zakat in installments. So let's say, for example, like a woman's got gold, and her zakat comes up to £50, but she doesn't have any cash at the moment. So what she can do is she can pay later, and she can pay installments. So maybe she can pay like £1 a week until she pays it all off. That's fine as well. Can you hold shares in a high street bank? I'm assuming you're referring to a conventional interest-based bank. If that's the case, then no, because most of the transactions they deal with are interest-based. Who was given more physical beauty, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or Yusuf? Allah knows best. I mean, these kind of questions are not really kind of questions which we're going to be asked about on the Day of Judgment. So I don't like delving into these kind of questions. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah once was asked about, a question. Someone said to him, where are the children of the mushrikeen going to go? So those who died, who are non-Muslim, believe in other than Allah, and their children die, where are the children going to go? So Imam Hanifa said, I don't know. Meaning, as in, it's better to stay silent and leave it to Allah. So, as in, who is more beautiful, the Prophet ﷺ or Yusuf alayhi salam? We have no indication in the Quran towards this. And likewise, no categorical hadith, mutawatir or mashhur at this level. So, it's not an issue of aqidah. But, I mean, if the Prophet ﷺ is the best of creation, then logically, the Prophet ﷺ would be the most beautiful as well. Yeah. Okay, is short back and sides a haram haircut? I was told that in hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ addressed the young man about his hair is due to the young man having patches in his head, and this is an African pagan tribe tradition. Yeah, it's fine. Short back and sides are fine. I have no issue with that. The Prophet said the whole issue of the qaz'a is that the child that came to the Prophet ﷺ, he had hair cut in such a way that it looks very, very strange. Like his head looks very strange. It didn't look like a normal head. It didn't look very presentable. It looked very ugly. So the Prophet ﷺ told him, either shave it all off or just keep it. Don't do this kind of. And you have to imagine, in them days they used to use scissors to cut, and it was a very kind of awkward sort of hairstyle. So this is why the scholars have differed exactly why the Prophet ﷺ prohibited this. And because there's a difference of opinion, it makes sense that the Prophet ﷺ would not be criticizing something which was because of just a particular type of culture. It was actually because of it not looking correct. So this is why nowadays they've got machines, and short back and sides can make a person look very nice. So I have no issue with that. And I think, again, this is one of those things that people have, just like the taghut issue, that people have just taken this one translation of the hadith that the Prophet forbade keeping some hair and leaving some hair. He did not prohibit cutting some hair and leaving hair. That is something which is an interpretation. What he prohibited was that specific method that child's hair was cut with. Otherwise, he didn't prohibit this. So I mean, a lot of, like, especially maktabs, you find, and the kids are saying, this is a haram haircut, and there's no such thing as a haram haircut in that sense, that this particular haircut is haram haircut, and to call it haram is a big statement. So I think people need to be a bit more sensible, a bit more mature about this. So yeah, it's fine. Is boxing and UFC haram? If it's professional boxing and these kind of things, it's the issue is the harm it causes to the person, health harms, mental harms it causes. So looking at that, I mean, I would say that it would be impermissible if it's at a professional level. So at a professional level where a person is harmed and mentally and then I would say it's not allowed. But if it's just for sparring, practicing, training, and it's not really that, they're not hitting each other in the head very hard, then there's permissibility for it. Assalamu alaikum. Every Thursday, all the Barelvi Jamaat, they do dua before Maghrib. What does Hanafi scholar opinion say? So, okay, so I'm not too sure about this, but I assume it's like this, that every Thursday they do, before Maghrib, they do some sort of a dua, and is this allowed or not? So you can make a dua any time of the week you want. You don't have to make a dua a specific time. You just have to make a dua a certain time in the any time, actually. You don't have to specify a time. However, if you believe that making a dua at a specific time is more rewarding or more important, then you have to have evidence for this. There needs to be evidence for this. If there's no evidence for this, and you're saying that there is reward for it, or this is more special, then you're innovating. That's not allowed. So for example, like let's say some people, they do like a little talk in the masjid regarding a particular individual, like a scholar or a sheikh. As long as they do the talk and they don't believe that doing this talk is more rewarding on this day than this day, then it's fine. Doesn't really matter. Because if you say it's more rewarding on this day or that day, what you're doing is you're basically attributing reward to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you have to prove it. So this is why, if these guys have proof for why they do it on a Thursday, if it's more rewarding on a Thursday, then then they can prove it. Otherwise, no. Okay. What does a masbook do if Imam does sajda sahw? He does sajda sahw as well. So if the masbook must follow the Imam in everything, basically. So if he does sajda sahw, then he does sajda sahw with him. On Friday, Jummah day, is the khutbah being read by the Imam? You turn up too late sometimes. Jummah starts. Is your Jummah prayed? Yes, it's fine. It's done. According to Hanafis, as long as you've got to the salat, it's fine. There's an ikhtilaf of whether you missed the 2 rakats or not. So if you got in tashahhud with the Imam Muhammad says that you have to make up 4 rakats. So when you get up after the Imam gives salam, you pray 4 instead of 2. Whereas Abu Hanifa and Abu Yusuf say no, you pray 2, even if you get to the Imam just before salam. Okay. Almost finished these questions. Okay, how do I get rid of jealousy? Okay, I think I answered that one. If I am working a 12-hour shift in a mental health setting, whereby sometimes I cannot leave my patient as I am on observations to stop them from self-harming, etc., is it permissible for me to pray my salah by ishara? I mean, what I would suggest is you can pray your salat, try to pray your salat, and if you can't pray your salat, you can't do ruku and sujood for some reason, then yes, you would be allowed to do ishara in that sense. But I need more details of exactly what the job entails, and can you get a break at certain times, etc. Yeah, so I'm sure you can get a toilet break or something. So if you can get a toilet break, then maybe even get enough time just to pray. But I need more details about that. Salam, when a woman has finished her menses, does she have to wash everything that comes into contact with her body? In my community, they go to the extent of even washing their hairbands and their brushes, coats, etc. Something we have to do Islamically, or is just something cultural? What are they required to do? Can we wear the same clothes as before? Okay, so the question here is that when a woman finishes her menstruation, what does she have to do? So Islamically, all she has to do is just take a bath. That's all she has to do. And if there's any blood in any part of the clothing, she has to wash that or just change her clothes. She doesn't have to do anything else. In fact, this was a Jahili custom in the time of the Sahaba, and the Prophet ﷺ, he wanted to finish this Jahili custom. So the Prophet ﷺ, he would eat the same food that Aisha radiallahu anha used to eat. He would eat it. He would drink the same water she drank in the state of menstruation. He would even hold her in menstruation. He would even put his head in her lap in menstruation. So it's totally fine. It's just cultural things, unfortunately. Many people, I think, they just, without knowing Islamically. So Islamically, all a woman has to do is take a bath, and if her clothes have blood on there, she wash the clothes, or that area of blood, or change her clothes. She doesn't have to wash the whole clothes. Alright, Assalamu alaikum. Could you please explain the prayers of a traveller in detail? Fiqh Hanafi. What if I frequently travel to the same place, but it isn't where I live? So you need to, so fiqh of traveler is obviously a very big topic. I think it's going to take me half an hour or so to explain it. I don't think I'll be able to explain it in a live question and answer. So if you can just give me a question, I can answer it. If I frequently travel, so if you give more details, exactly where do you travel, what's the precise nature of question you want to ask, and then I'll be able to answer that. So I don't understand this. What if I travel to the same place but it isn't where I live? Like, what do you mean? So generally, the traveler's prayer is Zohar is prayed to, Asr is prayed to, Isha is prayed to. That's all. And every other salah stays the same. And you don't have to pray the sunnahs. Right? So this is when you made intention to travel to a distance between you and between the location, which is the distance of a safar. And Hanafis have various opinions about this. The common opinion in today's times is 48 miles. So like if you're going to intend to travel 48 miles or more, then as soon as you leave your city, you become a musafir, and your Zuhr, your Asr, and your Isha becomes 2 rakats. That's that. Okay, so I think all the curious question answers are done. And one more left. Can you wear atar after Maghrib? Yes. You can wear atar anytime you want. Morning, night, evening, doesn't matter. Alright, let's answer these questions you guys got over here now. Alright, so Muhammad, is there a question, practice rules? Okay, we're doing that one. Okay, without someone. Wa alaikum assalam, Sister Hina Mendi. Why now? In some places in Pakistan, there's a tradition of touching the knees of your elders as a sign of respect. In some places, we place our hands on our heart. People say that's shirk. Is that true? No, it's not shirk. So remember, what is shirk? Shirk is belief. It's all to do with belief. So how, when you believe something that's only for Allah, you believe it for someone else. So you believe that Allah is eternal. If you believe anyone else is eternal, then it's shirk. You believe that Allah is the only one that can put someone into Jannah. If you believe someone else can do that, then it's shirk. Unlike this is not considered shirk. Respect in different communities is shown in different ways, right? So sometimes some people will touch, give salam with 2 hands. Sometimes someone will touch their heart, and some, especially in places like Tajikistan and Iran, in some places Iran as well, and Turkey. In these places, when they give salam, they touch their heart as well. And when we were in madrasa, this was a common thing there. And so it's all kind of like, it's fine. Seems fine to me. Okay, I get confused quite a few times. So if you get confused quite a few times, then what you do is basically do sajda sahu. So do sajda sahu, and your salat should be fine. You should answer your questions first. CC people aren't even here. A bit late, tell me now. Okay, Hezza Jamrock, what are your thoughts on who Ya'juj Ma'juj are? What do you feel about Imam Qurtubi's opinion that they were the Mongols? Yes, I mean, I'm inclined towards, many of my teachers were on that opinion as well, that they are I wouldn't say the Mongols themselves, but they are the indigenous people that lived in that vicinity. That's who the Prophet ﷺ was talking about. The indigenous people that were living in that vicinity of China, Mongolia, Russia, the Caucasus, that kind of area. So yeah, I think that's a very plausible possibility. Again, every possibility that people come out is all speculation, by the way. There is no categorical qat'i evidence to show one answer is better than the other. So whether a person believes that there are people that are trapped behind a wall even till today, or whether a person believes that it's the Europeans and the Mongols or the Chinese, or whether a person believes that some sort of illness is going to spread amongst the people and they're going to become zombies, all of these are speculation at the end of the day, right? So you cannot say one is correct and the other one's wrong. Yes, you can say one is more correct. So I personally believe that it is Ya'juj and Ma'juj are going to be normal human beings. They're not anything special. They don't have any different features. The Prophet ﷺ said that the Ya'juj and Ma'juj, their faces are like the bruised shields, and they have small eyes. And the Quran says that they'll be coming from every every mountaintop. And there's many narrations about them as well. So again, believing of Ya'juj Ma'juj in the Quran is something which we have to believe because the Quran mentions it. But to believe exactly how they're going to appear, when they're going to appear, all these details, this is not something necessary. Okay, are you a Harry Potter fan? Not really. It was okay. I mean, not too keen. Why now? Someone said we can't utter statements like behind every successful man is a woman because in reality success and failure only comes from Allah. Is that true? Okay, again, these are statements which are like very sort of like you get some of those people who want to make every they want to correct the entire English language to make it Islamically viable. So we say things like, luckily I woke up on time. They go, astaghfirullah, I shouldn't say luckily because there's no luck in Islam. So therefore we have to adjust our English language for that. So these kind of things are very, I think they are very immature. This is a sign of someone, people who come up with these things are a sign of someone who hasn't studied the Islamic sciences properly, and especially hasn't studied Adab al-Arabi, classical Arabic language, to how Sahaba used to speak and how the Prophet ﷺ used to speak in the Arabic language. Otherwise, they wouldn't be saying these kind of things. So to say that behind every successful man is a woman, it's fine. It's a valid statement. I mean, it doesn't go against Aqidah in any way, right? Someone can also say the other way. Behind every successful woman is a man. You could say that because without man and woman, husband and wife, there could come no children. So every man was born from a man and a woman, and every woman was born from a woman and a man. So it's fine to say these kind of things. And people who say things like these kind of statements, again, it's just out of lack of understanding, lack of knowledge of Islamic history. Okay, Abu Bakr Bariyat, is it Bariyat? Wa alaikum assalam. What is a Deoband or a Deobandi? So a Deoband, or a Deobandi. Deoband is a name of a place in India. So what happened was when the British colonized India, there were many madrasas in them days. There were many Islamic institutes in them days, and the government was obviously Indian government, and then there was like the Mughals. So there was a lot of a rich Islamic sort of culture there. So when the British came, the British became very harsh and strict and started to crack down on Islamic institutes. So there was a group of people, ulama, scholars, they got together and they said they wanted to preserve the Islamic sciences, and they were coincidentally in a place called Deoband. So they started a madrasa there, and then this madrasa became known as the Deoband madrasa. And this then, so initially it started off as a reaction to the British attack on Indian Islamic institutes, and they wanted to preserve all the sciences. So that's where it kind of stems from. So someone who has studied there, or someone who has studied in one of the branches, might sometimes call themselves Deobandi, as in they have studied in a seminary or they've studied in an institute which roots back to that original sort of madrasa which was set up in the time of the British colonialism. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, apparently Ya'juj Ma'juj are zombies. Okay, I am 21 years old. What rights do my parents have over me, and how do I do their khidmat? So so when people ask me this question, what rights do I have over my parents? It's a very kind of common sense thing. If you were a parent, what would you expect your kids to do for you? Right? You should know your parents. What do you expect to do for them? As long as they are not commanding you to do something contrary to Islam, you should do everything for them. As long as it's not contradicting Islam. Now, you don't have to go to your parents and every day say to them, okay, parents, can you please give me a list of things you want me to do for you today? No, you don't do that. That's silly, that is. So roughly, common sense will tell you what they need doing. So if your parents are old, they might need medical treatment, they might need help, they might need massage, they might need you to go for the shops for them, maybe earn for them, these kind of things. And if they're earning themselves, then alhamdulillah, right? They're earning themselves. So I think a lot of times what happens is when we become practicing, we think we need to be told a whole list of things of how to do everything. What are the Islamic etiquettes of going to bed? What are the Islamic etiquettes of walking in your house? What are the Islamic etiquettes of driving your car? What are the Islamic etiquettes? We don't need to know these things. Common sense dictates to us of most of these things. Okay. Next question. How do I make dua in sujood in my sunnah and nafal? So according to Hanafis, generally they say that you're allowed to make dua in sujood and nafal, but you do the dua in Arabic. My teachers used to say in nafal that there is scope to do it in your own language as well. But as long as the du'as you're asking for are du'as which are things that you ask from Allah. Yeah. Okay, here's Jamrock. Have you studied the history of Turkey? I'm thinking of reading the book of Istanbul. I haven't studied it really. I haven't studied it. I mean, it'd be interesting to find out, but I haven't even watched Portugal yet. So a lot of people are saying to me, I've watched Portugal. I haven't watched that. I don't know what it's about. How to tackle the fitna of modern day Salafis and how to give da'wah to someone who is influenced by it. So, see that the issue, I think there's a bigger problem. Then attacking like labeling certain groups, I think there's a bigger problem. The bigger problem is we need to be confident in our identity. So for example, like as Muslims, we need to be confident Muslims, right? Once we're confident Muslims, once we understand what the Quran's about, once we understand what our purpose in life is about, all these kind of like labels that people label themselves as being Salafi or Diobandi or Brelvi or whatever terms, we're not going to argue about those because we're all working for the same goal and purpose. Like imagine I'm from Birmingham, UK, someone's from Manchester, someone's from Cardiff, someone's from London. It doesn't matter where we're from. Like as long as we know what our purpose is in this country, which is to work, to earn, to help our communities, we're all going to do it. Once we start criticizing one another, then that's where the problems lie. So I think that's the first thing that we need to do. Second thing is that we need to have dialogue with other groups. We need to speak to Brelvis, we need to speak to Diobandis, speak to Salafis or Jamaat Islamis and Ikhwan Muslimin and other groups. Speak with them. See what issues we agree on. See what we differ on. Why do we differ on these things? So I think we shouldn't be scaring our people and saying, stay away from Salafis, stay away from Diobandis, stay away from Brelvis. I think that's a wrong approach, that is. Because all that's doing is creating like sect mentality. Right? We don't know why we're Diobandi, we don't know why we're Brelvi, we don't know why we're Salafi, but everyone else is wrong. So sometimes you have these websites and you go onto like one and it says to you all the deviant groups and it's got a whole list of like groups that are deviant. Yeah, I personally think that is a very immature sort of like approach. We're living in a time in the UK where we like to understand things. We want to understand. We've got like a whole society that has designed courses and curriculum in schools which are to explain things. Religious studies, they actually explain other religions. Instead of saying Sikhs are wrong, Hindus are wrong, Christians are wrong, right? They explain it. And I think we need to get into that mentality. If we want a future and for our youth, we need that definitely. So how to give da'wah to someone who's influenced by them? I mean, just speak to them. Say why is it that a person is influenced by it? And there might be a Salafi, a person who is probably more closer to Allah than maybe a Diobandi person. Maybe they pray tahajjud, maybe they fast, maybe there's a person who's a Diobandi who's more closer to Allah than a Salafi. Maybe there's a Brelvi who's more closer to Allah than a Diobandi. Allah knows best. So these labels don't matter. It's about what you do that matters. Okay, why now? Can a husband stop his wife from visiting her parents? According to Hanafis, no. He can't stop. And then the Hanafis discussed this. This is a masala which is based upon culture as well. There's a lot of like cultural sort of like dictation here, urf, how the culture works as well. So generally a husband cannot stop, but if a wife is impeding on her duties to her husband, then he can stop her. A hadith says that Isa a.s. will destroy the cross and slay the swine. How does this fit with the notion that Islam is a tolerant and peaceful religion? Again, so this kind of a hadith, it's a very good hadith. We have to understand this hadith in a context. So imagine you're living in the time of the Sahaba and Islam is spreading. Islam is gaining ground now. So it's becoming established. Enemies are becoming apparent now. So there's like Christian enemies, the Byzantines. There's Persian enemies, the fire worshippers. There's mushriks, idol worshippers. there's the Jews of Medina, there are munafiqs, hidden disbelievers amongst the Muslims. So you're living in a very hostile time now. So remember, when you explain something to a people, you're going to explain it in terms that they can understand. Now, that statement that was contextualized and understood in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, if you try to make that universal, you are going to have in different eras people understanding it in different ways. This is the dangerous thing about trying to decontextualize hadith and ayats of the Quran. Very dangerous for people. So like this, for example, hadith says that he will come and he will break the cross. And is he talking about all crosses around the world? Is this metaphorical for him having a debate with someone and destroying the whole system of Christianity? Is it talking about slaying the swine? Is it every swine? It sounds impossible that all the swine on the earth are going to be destroyed. Is it talking about a specific sort of thing that becomes rampant in them days? Like, I'll give you an example. In Spain, right, it became law after they persecuted the Muslims in Spain, that the Christians made it law that every shop has to serve pork to every customer just to make sure he's not Muslim. Right? Now imagine a situation becomes like this, and Isa alayhi salam appears in this time, and there's a location, a society that have made pork core to their society, and have made it something to identify people as Muslims, and he comes to destroy that system. Yeah. So this is why I think these kind of narrations is very, very difficult for people who haven't studied hadith in a good level, and haven't studied fiqh. For them to contextualize hadith, I think it's very dangerous, and this is why people feel like rejecting the notion of Isa alayhi salam returning and the hadith being weak, and because what they're doing is they're not really kind of understanding the fiqh of the hadith. And this is what Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, he said if it wasn't for Imam Shafi'i, he said, I would have gone astray with hadith. In other words, hadith would have fueled my destruction, because Imam Shafi'i, he made me understand how hadith work, how you understand the text of hadith. And this is what fiqh is. Okay, in Salah, after Surah Fatiha, one is going to start reciting from the beginning of Surah Tawbah. Should one abstain from Bismillah? Yes, one should abstain, the fuqaha say. Speaking of the evil, I understand that Prophet ﷺ was affected by magic, and the last 2 chapters of the Quran were sent to help him. But how is this possible that Allah promised? Yeah, so good question. So, for instance, like this, obviously, in the narrations, it's mentioned in Sahih Bukhari and others that the Prophet ﷺ was affected with magic. So, what does this mean then? Because then a lot of people ask the question, then, wasn't he supposed to be protected? So, first of all, what is magic? As in, is it something which is a health? Is it something that affects your health? Is it something that will injure you? Like, what does it fall under? So, like, for example, Allah is going to protect the Prophet ﷺ, yes? But what is he going to protect him from? Is he going to protect him from someone killing him? Is he going to protect him from someone trying to poison him? Is he going to protect him from someone... is he going to protect him from becoming ill? Is he going to protect him from becoming injured? So we know the Prophet became injured. Yeah, he was injured, fell off a horse several times. We know that the Prophet became ill many occasions. So obviously protection doesn't mean health. What it does mean is that Wallahu ya'simuka minan nas, that Allah will protect the Prophet from the other people getting to him, killing him. As for someone, for example, like scaring the Prophet, putting him in a situation where his life is at threat, this happened many times. So magic itself, in other words, it's not impossible. It doesn't go against this concept that the Prophet ﷺ was protected from magic, right? Because magic is just considered to be some sort of just like you have physical illness. It's a mind illness. It's an illness of, one is a physical illness that you can detect, and one is you can say like a non-detectable illness, just like jinn, right, which are non-detectable creatures. Magic just falls under non-detectable. So why isn't it possible that the Prophet ﷺ could be affected by this? Well, if someone argues, then isn't this going to affect him conveying the message? Our argument is the Prophet ﷺ becoming ill and having headaches and becoming, having a fever, is that going to affect the message? No, it's not. Likewise, why would magic affect the message? Like, as long as he doesn't say something that's wrong, because if he says something that's wrong, Allah will automatically correct him. And this happens so many times in the Quran, where the Prophet ﷺ made a decision and then Allah corrected. Abasa wa tawalla is an example of that. Or for example, in the Battle of Badr, when he made a decision of keeping captives of war and then ransoming them, and then he was corrected. So this is why this, to me, it does not seem to go against the promise of protection. So that's my answer to that. Okay, when praying namaz after Surah Fatiha, when we read a surah, do we have to recite them in order they come in the Quran? So if I recite Surah Ikhlas in the first rakah, do I have to recite it? So you have to recite it in order if you're the imam. If you're the imam in congregation, Fard Salat, you have to recite it in order. And the reason that the illah they say is because it was ordered by the Prophet ﷺ or by the Sahaba in this particular order. So that order is important. But if you're reading on your own, then you don't have to read that order. You can read in any order you want. It's fine. Surah that comes after. Okay, why now? I was reading Shafi fiqh. Is it impermissible to travel on Friday if the person knows that they'll miss their Jummah? What do the Hanafis say? The Hanafis say no, you can travel on a Friday, it's fine. So you can travel on a Friday. I mean, as in, the idea is that do you have to be there for Jummah or not? So the Hanafis say basically that إِذَا ضَرَبْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَلَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ تَقْصُرُ مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ. This is a mutlaq ayah, and this ayah refers to any situation, and it's unrestricted of time. So therefore, if a person was to travel, the ayah is saying if he travels at any time, so that would mean that you can travel at any time you want, and there is no prohibition. In fact, there's actually Sahaba who were told to travel on Friday morning for a battle, to the battle of Mu'tah. And one of the Sahaba, he remained behind for Jummah, and the Prophet saw him and said, what made you stay behind? And he said, because I know I've got a fast horse and I wanted to pray Jummah with you. And the Prophet said, no. He said, your companions will enter Jannah half a day before you, and one half a day is equal to 500 years. So yes, according to Hanafis, it's fine. Are fixed deposits allowed if the government of the country permits them? So exactly what do you mean by fixed deposits? So you got to be a bit more, clarify that a bit more. This is what I was told by someone. Good hat, jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, Umar. Alaikum assalam. Is there any wazifa or dua for finding a job? I mean, the best thing is just read Surah Yasin, read your 5 times salat, and look for a job. Yeah, go for a job, look for a job, find out, do investigation, ask people, and rizq is written down for you, but we have to make effort. So job is not going to come just by a wazif or a dua. You're going to have to make effort. So look for a job, go to job center, ask local people if anyone's got a job, and we shouldn't be too fussy in jobs if they're difficult to get. Whatever kind of job you can get. I mean, nowadays you can get jobs like if you can drive Uber in many cities, delivery for Amazon. So many kind of jobs that are available now. Abdullah Safi. Sheikh, when you are in Salat, we must stay quiet in standing position whilst Imam reads Quran. But in silent Salat, can we read various dhikr and salawat? You mean in silent Salat when the Imam's reciting Quran? Majority of Hanafi say no, you must remain silent in there. And some of the Hanafis have said that no, you can recite. Like Sheikh Abdul Hayy Laknawi says you can recite Quran. But no, generally most of them say you don't recite. Is it permissible for a non-mahram of the opposite gender to see the face of a deceased person, as some people make a huge issue of this? No, it's not really a big issue. No, it's not really, it's allowed. Okay, CSDF. I don't think people really appreciate the hard work you put into your videos. Allah reward you. Ameen. Jazakumullah khair. Jazakumullah khair. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, when they don't know about something, they don't realize how much effort goes into things. And once they realize, alhamdulillah, the amount of effort that goes into certain things, writing a book, for instance, or maybe even, making the Apple phone. Even a lot of effort goes into it, which we kind of are unaware of. So yeah, alhamdulillah. And not just my channel, there's many other, mashallah, people who are making videos on YouTube channels that are doing some amazing work, alhamdulillah. If you're 33,000 subscribers donated even £1, that would help. Alhamdulillah, 33,000 people, mashallah. Okay, why now? After being associated with Islamic sciences for around 2 decades, if you had a chance to go back in time, would you have made the same choices? As in, would I have made the same choices of doing the same subjects, or is that what you're saying? Or would I have done? Would I have improved those choices? So I would definitely improve them. I mean, I would have made the same choices. I think I would have studied more. I probably would benefit from my teachers more. I would have, because the thing is that you only realize, like, after you studied, you only realize, oh no, I should have asked my teacher this. I should have focused on this. I should have benefited more. And you're always going to be remorseful when you look back. That's always the case. So if I look back in 10 years time now, I'm always going to be thinking to myself, I wish 10 years ago I was doing this. I wish 10 years ago I had done this. So that's always going to be the case. So we're never perfect. But yeah, I think I'm alhamdulillah, I'm happy with the path I've taken, and Allah's guided me on this particular path. So yeah, I don't think I would have changed that for anything. But yeah, I would have definitely benefited from my teachers more. Definitely, 100%. Okay, Assalamu alaikum Sharif, mashallah, good to see you. How is inheritance handled with artificial insemination? Also, when an egg is donated, who is the mother, the one that carried the child, or donor? Yeah, so Islamically, we have a very simple rule. The simple rule is that the child that the mother is born from is her child. Yeah, that's how we look at it. So the child that is born from. And the father is only the father if he's married to that woman. Yeah, so that's Islamically, that's how we look at it. There's even in the British law, I was speaking to a solicitor, and he was saying, even in British law, there is this problem of identifying surrogacy. Who is the real mother? Because there was a case where a surrogate mother, she didn't want to give the child to the mother who donated the egg, and she actually won the case. So legally in Britain, the surrogate mother doesn't have to give the child back to the mother. So Islamically, the mother is the one that gives birth. In ummahatum illa allati waladnahum, the mothers are the ones who gave birth, and the fathers are the husbands of the. So if a man fornicates with a woman and she gives birth, the fornicating man will not be recognized as a legal father, so he won't inherit. Okay, should one feel guilty for not yearning to see the Prophet ﷺ in dream? No, not really. Not really. I mean, we all would love to see the Prophet ﷺ. It's just some people want it more, and it's more like on their mind. But no, you wouldn't need to feel guilty about that. Okay. And the other thing we have to remember is, look, we shouldn't like emotionally blackmail other Muslims in like Islamic things. And I think a lot of times what happens is, when speakers give talks, what tends to happen is they might take a particular story of something or a statement, and they'll emphasize it so much that it kind of makes the audience feel as bad as though, why aren't they doing it? So sometimes the scholar will do this to make, like, to get the people to change their ways. For basically, his intention is a good intention. But if a scholar is always doing this and deliberately making the people feel bad about themselves, I think this is a negative thing. We shouldn't be focusing too much on this. I mean, I unfortunately, I sometimes did this in my bayans in the past. But I think it's not really a good thing to kind of mention a story about a particular individual that would spend the whole night in ibadah and then say, what do? You guys do nothing, and stuff like that. I think try to keep it more positive. It's not the same without Kati. Can we have 2 book reviews today? Okay, we'll have one. Can one combine intention for the Tahajjud and Salatul Hajjah? Yes, definitely. Wa alaikum assalam. Yawm in. Okay, where's that gone? Yawm in Surah Al-A'raf, mainly translated as days, like 24 hours, is where this leads the mind. Is there a better translation, Yawm, in this case? Surah A'raf. I don't know the verse. I'll have to check what verse it is. But I can't tell the verse numbers. I'm not Zakir Naik, unfortunately. Okay, let's have a look. So Surah A'raf. What was it? Verse 54. Okay, sittati ayyam you mean? You mean sittati ayyam, yeah, the days. Yeah, so in Arabic, days means a period of time. It's always meant a period of time. Classically, they meant it as a period of time. And it's been used for the day because it's a period of time. Like 24 hours is a period of time. So yom doesn't necessarily mean 24 hours. It means a period of time which can range from, a day all the way till years, eons you can refer to. So in this case I would say it refers to eras. That's the problem with translation. When you're studying Arabic grammar, you need to, or Arabic language, you need to understand the culture when that language is revealed. Otherwise you're going to make big mistakes in translating, because we're translating it through the English paradigm. Okay, why now? If someone has missed quite a few fasts over the years but don't know the exact number, what should they do? Estimate. So roughly estimate how much they could have missed and then just work on that. And then, Allah is Ghafoor Rahim. As long as a person tries to make them up, why not? Allah will forgive. In Surah Asr, Allah says, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. Does this mean it is obligatory on all Muslims to enjoin good on fellow Muslims and to forbid evil on fellow Muslims? No, that's not what's taken from this. So tawasaw bil haqq is a whole range of things. Tawasaw bil haqq. So tawasaw bil haqq would include, like for example, like helping someone cross the road. Tawasaw bil haqq would include making dua for someone. Tawasaw bil haqq would include supporting one another in events. So there's a whole range of things. Tawasaw bil haqq. Okay, what's your opinion regarding going in Tablighi Jamaat? Very good, mashallah. Sometimes I go, alhamdulillah. It's a very good organization. Very, very good. We have to always remember, there is no organization is perfect. Every organization has flaws in there. If we're going to be looking at all the flaws of every organization, we're not going to do anything in our life. So every organization has flaws. There is no one at the moment on earth whose organization is perfect. No one at all. The only person's organization that was perfect was the Prophet ﷺ when he was alive. Yeah, that was the only one. And now after him, there is no one organization is perfect. Everyone's organization has flaws in there, has imperfections. Okay, why now? When you were in Pakistan, did you visit Swat, Naran and Kaghan? No, I didn't. I wanted to go, but I've got a lot of friends there. Got a lot of friends in these areas. But I didn't get time because I was studying. It was either studying or it was either going doing chakkars. Yeah, so I preferred the studying part. But I would love to go. So maybe if I go again, inshallah, I'll do like a tour of these places. Salam, Sheikh. My village is very close to these places. It's maybe about 4-hour drive from these places. So it's not very far. Naeem Anthony, salam alaikum salam. Is it permissible to play in a soccer tournament where someone pays for you for the entry fee and at the end the winning team wins a prize for Shafi madhab? I'm not too familiar with Shafi madhab, so I'm not trained in the Shafi madhab, so I wouldn't be able to answer accordingly. But according to Hanafi madhab, see the thing is that is it permissible to take gambling, the winnings of gambling, or not? That's the issue. So according to Hanafis, it wouldn't be permissible to take the winnings. So to participate in the game would be fine, but to take the winnings would not be allowed, because it's, even though you haven't given, what's basically happened is it's like someone saying, if I win the lottery, I'm going to give you some money. You can't take that money. It's unlawful money. If a person wakes up for Fajr but sees semen undergarment, does he require ghusl or does he do wudu, and can he do ghusl later in the day? No, he has to do ghusl. Are you going over the exam next week? No, I'm not going to the exam next week. Inshallah, you're going to get your results maybe in the Christmas holidays. Maybe some teachers might go over the exams, but most likely I won't. Okay. A criticism put on Islam is that intercession on the Day of Judgment is unfair. Intercession on the Day of Judgment is unfair. If person X is destined for the hellfire, how is this fair that another person can intercede? Okay, I see. Alright, so I think, so the thing we have to understand about the Day of Judgment is that it's not based upon how much points you've got. So the Day of Judgment is never going to be based upon how much points you've got. The Day of Judgment is based upon Allah's mercy. That's how it works. So if we think of the Day of Judgment being like a game, and like the dunya being a game, and at the end of the game, the amount of points that we've gained, we should get this. This is something which the Hanafis, this is something that Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah said, there is nothing, if Allah was to put everyone in Jahannam, Allah is not being unfair because Allah is the creator and they have done nothing for Allah at all. Right? They do not deserve anything from Allah. Allah out of His sheer mercy gives everything. So if Allah was to put them all in Jahannam, Allah would have done it and He would have still been fair. And if Allah was to put every single person in Jannah, Allah would have done it and He would still have been fair. In other words, out of the mercy of Allah, that Allah does every single thing. The Mu'tazila, on the other hand, they said no. They said if a person does good, Allah must put him in Jannah. And if Allah doesn't put him in Jannah, that's not right. So this was the Mu'tazila's point of view. However, if we understand it in this sense, that look, Allah is not bound by any rules at all. Because if Allah is bound by a rule, it goes against the oneness of Allah. Yeah, and if Allah is has to follow these rules, then it doesn't make sense. So this is why intercession is part of Allah's mercy. So someone doesn't just get intercession for no reason. Intercession is part of Allah's greater plan. So just because we can't understand why this individual is going to be given intercession, this is something which is from the mercy of Allah subhanahu. Just like rain. For example, if there's a plot of land and it gets no rain at all, it's not because Allah is unfair to this land. And let's say the middle of the sea gets lots of rain, and Allah is unfair to why is He giving it. This is from the mercy of Allah. We can't understand the mercy of Allah. Yeah, so it's not really, I don't think it's a criticism. It's an invalid criticism because they're not looking at it from the point of view of how the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah define the Allah being fair. Okay, why now? I just had an idea. Why don't you do a fundraiser badminton match for your channel? It'd be fun. We could pay to watch it live. MashaAllah. Good idea. I mean, the thing is, I don't want my channel to become like I don't know. I don't want it to become something where it's just funding. That's what I don't want. What I want is this. If I could have someone that would fund the entire channel, that all the editors and everyone that's involved in there could be supported through this channel by external people, I think that would be the best thing. Alhamdulillah. The main thing is to get the content to the people. That's the main thing. And it has to be done at a very good level, quality level. That is the main objective. So therefore, if the aim shifts now, if the aim becomes, right, we're going to start to do everything, and then the whole purpose of the channel is going to go, because the purpose of the channel was to provide content for the people. And then now all of a sudden it's shifting, and now it's becoming, right, how much can we raise for this channel? We want to raise. And I know some institutes have to do that. So some institutes who regularly in the year will have to do fundraisers and do different events to fundraise for the institute so that they can run it throughout the year. I don't want to have to do that for this. I want it to be done. Alhamdulillah, there's so many generous people that are supporting this channel, mashallah. And only Allah knows the reward and the barakah and the blessing. There were two Sahaba here. One of them, he came to the Prophet ﷺ, they were brothers. And the brother said, look, he said, my younger brother, he comes to all your gatherings. I work, I earn, I provide, and he does nothing. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to the other brother, لَعَلَّكَ تُرْزَقُ بِهِ. Maybe Allah is putting barakah in your rizq. Maybe your sustenance is being given to you because of this brother. In other words, because this brother, you're supporting him and he is learning the deen and he is doing this, maybe it's because of him that Allah is giving you so much opportunities in your business and your business is growing. Yeah, so sometimes we have to change our mindset of how things work in the universe. That by supporting the channel, there are people out there who are supporting the channel, and Allah is supporting these people, and Allah is seeing all of their efforts and all of their concern for the welfare of Muslims in general. So alhamdulillah, I think that's how I think I would. I mean, maybe someone might disagree with me and say to me, no, we're happy to do these things for you and this and that. If they want to do that, alhamdulillah. But I want to make it like this. Maybe in the future, I won't need any of this. So if I was a millionaire, if I was a billionaire, and I had a channel, I would have had so many different things that I could have done with the money, and I could have not just to the channel. I could have obviously set up institutes in different places where people could come and attend, and so But sometimes Allah does things. Allah sometimes does things because there has to be a means of how people get closer to Allah. So Allah deliberately in the dunya designs the dunya in such a way that you have to show your need to Allah. Okay. Next, Zahir Akhtar, mashallah wa alaikum assalam. When you are explaining about travel fiqh, like to find out when you go back home to Pakistan, 3 to 4 weeks, do you still have to pray all 5 namaz full rakats? Yeah, so if you go back home to Pakistan and you're staying there for more than 15 days in your city, you're staying in your city for more than 15 days, then you have to pray full namaz, right? Dhuhr, 4 rakats, full, everything full with sunnahs. But if you're staying in one place for, let's say, 10 days, and then you're going to stay 2 or 3 nights in a different city, and then you're going to stay back to your own city. So if it's not going to be full 15 or more days in one city, then you pray half. Okay, do you know Sheikh Asrar personally? No, I don't know him personally. Why now, Mufti, do you wear a hat at all time for religious reasons? No, I don't. In the winter, I usually have one woolly hat on because I've got arthritis and the air kind of coldness gets to me. But generally, I mean, I cover my head when I teach because it's like part of our kind of uniforms. It's sort of like and when I give talks and things like that, because these are the kind of times when people expect you to dress in a certain way. But besides that, if I'm going out somewhere, different city or different place, or at home, I won't wear it. Wa alaikum assalam, Umar, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sharif, alaikum assalam. Have you seen the clip of Prime Minister Turkey in Cambridge? Yeah, mashallah, very nice recitation. Alhamdulillah. I mean, it's amazing, such a leader. He's not perfect. He's obviously got his flaws, and Allah knows best about his situation. But recitation, very nice. And look how humble he's sitting down with the people, and he's not sitting on a mimbar. He's like sitting with everyone else. These are, signs that of a humble person. And may Allah give him guidance, and may Allah strengthen him, and give him, success in his efforts. Okay. Athar, Umar Mo, Athar. I don't understand. Okay, Anwar, if you delay Maghrib by 30 minutes or more than an hour, does it become qada? If you delay Maghrib by 30 minutes or more than an hour. So it's difficult to say depending on where you are in the world. But in the UK generally, if it goes more than about an hour or so, it becomes qada. But in different parts of the world, the times could differ. It's all dependent upon when the twilight disappears from the horizon, when the white line disappears in the horizon. Okay, Abdullah Safi, are government end bonds permissible? I know Imam Tantawi said they were, but still people equate it usually. Yeah, did he say they were? That's strange. Bonds basically are not permissible. Yeah. And the reason they're not permissible is basically the government borrows money from people. So let's say, for example, I want to build a bridge. I'm the government. So I say to all you guys, right, 10 people here, and I say, each one of you give me £1,000. And what I'll do is every year I'll give you a profit. I'll give you £100 profit. And then after 10 years, I'll give you back your initial £1,000 that you invested. Right? So that's riba, that is. We say that's a riba because you guys are making money from borrowing me money. So you're borrowing me £1,000 for the duration of 10 years. And then every year you're making profit, which is interest, usury. So that's why it's not allowed. How does a non-sahih hadith being used? How does a non-sahih hadith? So I don't know if you've studied the science of hadith. There's actually a whole list of hadith. Sahih, there's different types of sahih hadith, hasan hadith, da'if hadith, fabricated hadith. There's all different types. So it's difficult to say in 5 minutes. I don't know how much you've studied of usul hadith, which I'm actually planning on doing a series on usul hadith as well soon, inshallah. But yeah, the non-sahih hadith is various types, and it all depends on which type you're talking about. And there's whole big discussions regarding this. Trousers hanging below the ankle. Why do scholars differ on this when it's crystal clear? So the issue with these kind of hadith, for example, like the Prophet ﷺ, he said a statement, but the problem is that the people have not passed down the reason why he said the statement. So the collection of hadith that we have most of them are raw statements. Like imagine you had a book, and from every page you took out a statement from every page, and then you gave it to someone and you said to someone, I want you to read these and I want you to understand for yourself what's being said. 90% of the time, I guarantee you, the person that's reading them is going to make mistakes in understanding what that person's trying to say. But if you give them that same statement in the paragraph or in the page, it makes sense. So for instance, like in Sahih Muslim, there's a narration where the Prophet ﷺ said, whenever you meet the Jews and Christians walking down the road, push them to one side. Now, if someone said this is a crystal clear statement, so that means wherever we live around the world, any Christians and Jews walking down the streets, according to the hadith, we have to push them to one side, which no scholar has ever said this. The hadith had a context behind it. It was a specific statement that was said in a specific time of hostility, because the Christians and Jews living in Medina were being hostile towards the Muslims. So Muslims were scared of going outside. The Prophet said, don't be scared. If you see them, you push them. So the same with the trousers below the ankles. The hadith says any trousers below the ankles is in the fire. However, if we look at all of the hadith together, what we find is that first of all, there were some Sahaba who used to have their trousers below the ankles. So for instance, like Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and Abu Bakr then raises the Prophet ﷺ, and he says, O Messenger of Allah, I have my trousers. He goes, it's okay, you're exempted. Right? So why would the Prophet exempt Abu Bakr? Was it because he was noble? All rulings are for the same for everyone. So why would Abu Bakr have a separate ruling? So we understand from other hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, anyone who wears garments that drags the garment out of arrogance, Allah will not look at them on the day of Judgment. Meaning Allah will not show them kindness. So we understand from this that having the trousers below the ankles doesn't mean that just having it below the ankles is sinful, because that doesn't make sense. Because in other hadith, he's actually clearly mentioned out of arrogance. So if someone wears it out of arrogance below the ankles, that's sinful. And if someone does not wear it out of arrogance, it's just a normal custom, then it's fine. Because the reason of the ruling is that. In fact, the Arabs used to show arrogance in them days. Arrogance was shown deliberately by dragging your trousers. That's how you showed richness, that you were rich. And if someone was poor, you deliberately lower your garment to show off your richness. Just like nowadays, some people will deliberately drive very expensive cars and will play the music loud just to show everyone that they've got this car or whatever. That's arrogance. Yeah, so this is why I would say that the hadith is not crystal clear. In fact, it's not crystal clear. If you study hadith properly, and usul hadith and usul fiqh specifically, these things become more clear. And I've done a whole course on usul fiqh on my uruk.com. You can check it out. You can enroll for that. But a lot of these same with the beard. So see, the Prophet ﷺ said with the beard, he said, lengthen the beards and trim the mustache and go against the mushriks, he said. So now many of the scholars say go against the mushriks, meaning that go against the mushriks. Don't keep their beards long and they don't trim their mustaches. So you don't be like them, go against them. Now today, mushriks, obviously, they're you don't find mushriks in your area. So this is why some of the scholars over history have said that this ruling was for that time. And then the growing of the beard, there's no hadith that says how long you grow it for. And then you have various Sahaba who used to trim their beards. And so this is why the scholars differ in the size of the beard itself. So when we hear about hadith, see, the thing is, a lay person, a person who hasn't studied any Arabic language, who hasn't studied any hadith or any usul or anything, when they hear hadith, their mind registers it in a certain way, especially if they're 1,500 years away from the Prophet ﷺ. And when someone in the day of Sahaba who knows Arabic, who's seeing the revelation revealed to them, who's meeting the Prophet ﷺ, when they hear the same hadith, they know exactly the context behind it. Okay. When I was a little, I wanted to become a billionaire so that I could buy helium balloons for all the children in the world. MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar. Yeah, you can still buy the helium balloons. They might fly away into space or something. Do you have to pray full namaz if you are traveling for work 5 days a week and are only at home during the weekend? No, you don't have to. So there's 5 days if you're away. As long as your home residence is at home, as in your city, then on the weekends you pray full at home, and then when you're at work you pray qasr, half. Ullu kapatta, can I meet you? Yes, of course, definitely. Like I said to you guys, if we have like some sort of like, if you're in Birmingham, you can inshallah come down, meet me. I'm in a Sufa Institute. Yeah, definitely, why not? Or if you want to do dawat for me, guys, you want to do some good dawat, you can get some good biryani. And can we give students of knowledge, Islamic teachers and scholars, our zakat as they are working for the sake of God? Not necessarily, no. There's ikhtilaf amongst the scholars. Hanafis say no, zakat can only be given to people if they are eligible to receive zakat, meaning they have funds are less than the nisab threshold. So if they have funds that are less than the threshold, yes, you can give them. But if they have enough money, more than the threshold, more than nisab, then they can't receive it. And there are some like modern opinions regarding fi sabilillah who allow this for organizations of da'wah, etc., and for students of knowledge. And it's an opinion that's taken by a lot of people, but the general Hanafi position, classical Hanafi position, is no. Okay, wa alaikum assalam. Do you have an email address? I had inquiry. Yes. So you can send emails to learningdeen. So let's write down here. learningdeen@gmail.com. @gmail.com. Okay. There is a hadith of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you overslept, missed for fard prayer has to be done as soon as possible. Do I make the niyyah as fard or qada? Qada. Yeah, so you make the niyyah as qada. Anwar Patel, is there anything that can be done to stop stabbings and crime, especially in the UK? I don't know. What do you guys think we should do about this? Because it's an issue that's affecting everyone. Yeah, so it's an issue affecting everyone. It requires, there's so many problems. We need to get, youth workers involved. We need to speak to parents. We need to have maybe youth clubs. We need to speak in schools. We need imams maybe to give regular talks on this. We need maktab teachers to talk about this. We need parents themselves to be more active with their children. I think that's the biggest problem we have. Parents who don't know what their children are getting up to outside. That's the biggest problem. And I see a lot of them you'll find are parents who are from back home, who are first generation. So they've come here, they don't know the language properly, they don't know the culture of their children, and they might be going to the mosque and they might be doing their own things, and their kids are just getting up to all sorts. I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in this country. Parents don't exactly know how to relate to their children. Alright, next, could you do a series on problematic hadith contextual? Yeah, actually, that's an excellent idea, that is. Let me just make a note of that. It's a very good idea. I think that would have to be for when I do my the Usul Hadith series. Problematic Hadith. Yeah, I like the idea. Okay. Okay, I need advice on divorce. Oh, you need to go to Islamic council. See, the issues with nikah and divorce is they require a lot of time, a lot of. If you want to chill out, I don't mind chilling out. But when it comes to these kind of issues, go to an Islamic fiqh council. My advice would be go to Islamic fiqh council, speak to them, pay them. They're actually designed for that. So they have all the experience and all the case studies and everything. Otherwise, if you want to ask me some random questions about divorce, I can answer those. But I'm not specialized in divorce. It's not my specialty. So I don't really deal with that kind of thing. Those are for fiqh councils. Speak to fiqh councils about that. Series on hadith contextualization. You mentioned one earlier about cross and swine. Yeah, definitely. Can you combine Salah at work because everything is so close? Depends. It depends exactly. Depends. If you were on deserted island and could only have one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? I don't know. It depends on it, because if you think about it, medically you can't eat one food for too long because you're deprived of the nutrients and things. So I'd have to research it. I have to research what type of food. I heard the only thing that you can actually survive on without it harming your body, I think, is honey and milk. That's what I heard. I think Jamie Oliver said this. I think Jamie Oliver. Yeah, I think he said it's milk and honey. These are two things that you can actually just survive on. Everything else will cause you problems. So too much of fruit, after a while, after a few months, you're just going to have side effects. And too much meat and too much this and that. So I look at it logically. I don't look at it like what I like to eat. So if I like to eat biryani, I'm not going to say I'm going to eat biryani all the time. Okay, my Pakistani mangoes. Yeah, you'd probably die after a while eating them. But yeah, okay, go for it, bro. Jazakallah for answering all questions for nearly 2 hours now. Much appreciated. You're welcome. Alhamdulillah. What if a person fear illness of getting cold? Should he still do a shower if he finds semen under his garment? Yeah, if he fears illness of getting cold and ill, etc., then he can just do tayammum. Yeah, he can do tayammum. But he'll have to do a shower later. Do you do tours of Islamic sites, Andalus, Aqsa, Mecca? No, I don't. Which institute do you study? Did you study at? I studied in Karachi. I studied in Jamia Islamia, Banoita, Karachi. They should bring back capital punishment to reduce stabbings. Maybe it might be a suggestion. Could you do more videos on Islamic concepts like you used to do, e.g., inheritance? Yes. I mean, have you seen my series on inheritance? I did stop at lesson 11, I think, 10, 11. Would you consider getting sponsors for your channel? Depends. It depends what the sponsor wants out of it, etc. The thing is, what I don't want people to sponsor the channel because they've got their own agenda, and then it's like I'm restricted by their conditions. That's what I don't want. So it was fun question. It was a fun question. Which one? Which question, bhai? What brand is your topi? My topi. This brand is the next brand. Okay, there's a couple of questions on this. Why is Islam to split up? Why they have to be different groups, Sunni and Shia, and people following different madhabs in other religions don't see much things like this? I mean, this is a very good question, but it requires a long discussion on history and how humans interact with each other. That's the problem. Okay. Oh, quite a few questions. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of questions on this. Okay, I'm gonna have to answer these another time now. So I think it's a bit late now. So these ones I'm gonna have to leave. It's quite good questions, mashallah, but a lot of these are gonna have to require a lot of detailed explanation. Some of them I've already answered in previous question answers. Yeah, but inshallah I'll have to answer these another time. Okay, to wear topi with a na'alain. Is it permissible to wear topi with a na'alain on there? You can wear topi with anything on there. Yeah, it's fine. Totally fine. I mean, if I had a na'alain one, I would wear it as well. I wouldn't mind. Assalamu alaikum. Ustad, any trick nahu questions you can ask to me, please? Yeah, inna Zaydu karima. Work this one out. Inna Zaydu karima. Inna Zaydu karima. Figure that one out. Some scholars say rape needs 4 witnesses, even with CCTV footage. This sounds not rape, fornication. Fornication is different. Yeah, this sounds kind of stupid. Maybe your question sounds stupid. I think sometimes what happens is we don't ask the question properly, and we don't think about it. So we have assumptions, and maybe I don't know if you studied fiqh or not, but zina is different from rape. Yeah, zina is different. So zina is more nuanced. Okay, the desert island one. Sometimes it's good to give our minds a rest and use our heart. Yeah, I can't do that. I mean, I'm a very logical person. I use my logic a lot. So this is why if you ask me this kind of question, I'm always thinking about how it's going to work. Okay, when praying namaz, what can you say in jalsa and in ruku after you say tasbih? You can say du'as. So there's some du'a like Rabbi ghfirli, Allahumma ghfirli dhanbi wasili fi dari, barik fi rizqi. So there's a few things you can say. Series where you have one-to-one discussion with someone. You mean like a podcast? Is it better financially to be a peer or a consultant doctor? Okay, when I become one of them, then I'll tell you. Let me become both of them, and then I'll tell you which one is better to become. Who your best imam from Saddam Masjid? My best imam, I think it's a tough one. They're both my friends. I think maybe Maulana Yusuf, but Hafiz Shakir is good as well. Verily Zayd is noble. Nope, that's wrong. What are your thoughts on the new next Netflix trailer about Dajjal? Yeah, look at that, man. Dajjal, see that? Can you imagine? Now look at this now. Think about this. In history, was there ever a time that the number of people on the planet Earth could have been told about Dajjal in such a short time? Imagine. So this is the first time I think in history we're ever seeing that the news of Dajjal, whether people believe it or not, that's separate. The news of Dajjal will be marketed around the world. Not even like ulama were able to spread the news of Dajjal like Netflix has. So Netflix has such a wide reach out there that it's something which is ajib. How many people now are going to find out about this? Okay, Zayd screamed like a deer. No, it's inna Zaydu. Zayd's got a single dhamma. Inna Zaydu karima. No. Should Muslims watch the Dajjal thing as long as our Aqidah is firm? Why Muslims should or should not, whatever they want to do, they can do. Yeah, so it's up to them if they want to watch it. Dajjal stories, mashallah. Okay, anyway, Jazakumullah khair, guys. Thank you very much. The time flew so fast today, mashallah, and questions still coming in. So Jazakallah khair, guys. And yeah, I mean, profound, isn't it? Think about it. I mean, this may be like the narration which mentions that the Dajjal will reach every single place. I mean, Allah alam, but this may be indication towards the Dajjal news spreading around the world, and it being done by, media, the Dajjal media, spreading. They want obviously people to know about this, whether they are just doing it for lucrative purposes or whatever, that's there. But still, it's one of the signs of the Day of Judgment that the Dajjal will emergence of the Dajjal. Both the names Zayd and Reem are both no. Okay, Reem can be a girl's name. Okay, that's fine. But not Zayd. You're welcome. You're welcome. Can we have this every day, like 3 times a day? MashaAllah. I'm not breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I heard a narration 150 years after sunrises in the West. I haven't come across that. Anyway, Jazakallah khair, guys. Thank you very much for all you guys. There's many of you guys who, mashallah, are regulars. Who is actually new? Who's first time has come on this live stream? I just want to see, because SBM, Ulukapatta, Anas, Why Now, and who else? FIFA, CSDF. You guys are regulars, mashallah. You guys are the crew, the team. But who's regular? Who's not regular? Who's the first time they're coming on? Just want to see. Will he approach the people with less knowledge about Islam? Did Dajjal take many forms in history, like Greeks, Cyclops, and other folklore stories with creature with one eye? Ali Brady. Okay, mashallah, Ali Brady. Nice to see you, bro. Alhamdulillah. Someone was saying, oh, I wish you had timestamps on these. I mean, if someone could make timestamps for these questions in the comments, it's going to take a long time to do. But if someone could take out time, maybe go through some of it, make timestamps in the comments so that people could. Idris Shah, mashallah, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. I'm party of Tinakat's crew. I'm privileged. Do I get certificate? Bro, you get a thumbs up. And in Pakistan, this means something else, but the UK version of thumbs up. Alright, so Jazakallah khair, guys. It's late. I think you guys are tired as well. So inshallah, I will see you all guys next time. Until then, remember your du'as. And yeah, get your questions ready. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.